Taking your game to the sky in Rocket League is the thing that separates bad players from good ones. The level of skill required to control your car in the sky is so much higher than anything we've talked about up until this point, but the payoff is phenomenally rewarding. Welcome back to the 5th episode of Bronze to Champ in 1 year, the series dedicated to helping you improve by training smarter, not harder. If you guys find this video useful, or if you have any further questions, I stream live at twitch.tv/unsurpassablez. I would love to have you over there. Generally speaking, the higher you go up in the air, the harder it is to hit the ball. However, hitting the ball higher in the sky means you're also getting to it earlier. So the higher you're able to control your car, the more opponents you'll beat. Said differently, whoever is capable of hitting the ball while higher up will have more control of the game. At the lowest levels, all it takes to win a 50-50 is leaving the ground at all, since most people just wait on the floor. Whereas once you start to get better, players will have control all the way to the ceiling. There are a few key aspects of aerials that make them so much harder than controlling the ball on the ground. For one, on the ground you only have to control your steering left and right, and your forwards or backwards speed can be easily changed by hitting the gas or by braking. Once you're in the sky, however, you can tilt your car to the left, to the right, forwards, backwards, and you even have to worry about air rolling. The hardest thing to master though is that there's no means of slowing down or speeding up without using boost. So if your momentum isn't pointed in the right direction initially, adjustments not only cost more boost, but are more difficult to make. I can't emphasize this next point enough. Your success with aerials is largely based off of how you leave the ground. As mentioned earlier, once you're in the air, the only means you have of changing your trajectory is boosting. So the more accurate your initial momentum is, the better. You should think about time in the air as time to make fine adjustments to the jump you just performed. Take a look here to see just how drastic the difference is between trying to slow down on the ground versus in the air. Aerials are one of those things that are very easy in concept, but in order to pull off takes a lot of practice. Luckily, I've developed what I believe to be the most efficient training progression for improving in the air. To start off though, I recommend using this drill from Sunless Khan. In free play, jump and tilt your car back, trying to point the nose of your car directly up. Use boost to raise yourself, and just try to stay in the air for as long as possible without crashing. It may be really tough for you if you're just starting, but just try to hover in place. When you're comfortable with this, try to tilt your car to mess yourself up, and then correct yourself. You can use air roll to keep your car in line with the camera, otherwise your controls will get flipped around. Now we've established a good baseline. Unfortunately, the rest of this progression can be a bit of a grind, but if you do this for about 20 minutes before you play every session, this will be more than enough to improve. What we're going to do is go into the map Pillars in free play. We're going to use our aerial control to make figure eights around this arena, trying not to bump into any surfaces and moving at a decent pace. You can use air roll in order to keep your car in line with the camera, just like we did before. After you feel comfortable doing this, we're going to take a rather big step up. Do the same thing, but this time use air roll to keep your car facing directly away from you. This is especially difficult because now your controls are inverted relative to where your camera is. So if you wanted to tilt your car away from the camera, what used to be forward on the left thumbstick, you now have to hold backwards on the left thumbstick to do. Like I said, this is a huge step, and you do have to sort of reprogram your brain to think in this way, but once you get it, your muscle memory really starts to take over. Similarly, the next step in the progression after this is to keep your car aligned perpendicular to the camera, both tilted 90 degrees to the left and 90 degrees to the right. Controlling your car from this new orientation will be very difficult at first, but stick with it. It opens up an entire world of possibilities, and only through having your aerial control committed to muscle memory will you be able to control your car in a real game. The next step is to do your figure eights without using air roll to correct yourself. If you've mastered the steps up until this point, this shouldn't be as hard, since your car will always be close to an orientation that you've practiced before. The biggest challenge with this method is that now you'll have to switch back and forth between the methods you've learned. You'll notice that players that are very good at the game spin their car around a lot, and this isn't just for show. There are certain situations where you can only get yourself facing the right way fast enough by air rolling, and the next steps of the progression focus on helping you be able to learn how to. You'll do your figure eights, but this time never stop holding down air roll. Here, turning to the left or the right isn't as intuitive, but think about it like this. Air roll to one side, then lean forward. This was an absolute train wreck for me when I first started, but eventually it will click for you. To further challenge yourself and reinforce this method, the next step is to hold down air roll the whole time and face backwards. Right after that, try adding spins in as often as you can. The final steps force you to have mastered the previous ones. Move around the figure 8 without ever letting go of boost. This way, if you have a moment where you accidentally turn the wrong way, it's much harder to recover. This will force you to bring your skills up to the level required for using them in a game. This can be really tough, but it shows you where you still have room to improve. The final challenge is to hold down boost and air roll the entire time, or hold down boost the entire time without using any air roll. This way of training is an absolute grind, and it took me months of practice to get even close to good with it. But I can guarantee that this is the fastest way to learn aerial car control. By the end of mastering this method, you'll have the ability to maneuver your car from any orientation to any new orientation instantly, allowing you to make those fine adjustments in the air more accurately. Don't give up on this, and don't worry if it doesn't come immediately. Just set aside a bit of time to practice before you get on, and you'll get better at it. If you followed the series up until this point, you should finally be able to start focusing on training with the ball. Stick around for the last few episodes of the series as we explore the final mechanics you need to know to go from bronze to champ in 1 year. As always, if you've got any questions, I stream live at twitch.tv/unsurpassablez. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.